back, everybody. After some test driving of the dirty coupe and taking it to car shows and taking my son for a little drive, car's doing pretty good. There are some small issues, of course, very small, and I think I mentioned it before in the one of the previous videos, that the fan switch, the one I installed right here, okay, it's working. It turns on when it's supposed to, but it does not shut off. The day after the car show, I took this thing around and I drove it for a couple hours, and it takes a while for the fan to come on, just because the thing seems to want to run pretty cool. But once it gets to 180, 185-ish, fans kick on, and they stayed on for the next hour or so. They did not shut off. So that fan switch does not turn off like I want it to. So I went ahead and ordered in another switch. This is the one I ordered in. I didn't want to mess around with the cheap switch anymore, so I went ahead and went with the Spal brand. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. S-P-A-L. Fairly expensive switch. This one was like 36 bucks off of eBay. And it does have a little different end, so I might have to end up switching that around, but that shouldn't be no big deal. But the temperature rating of this switch is 185 on, and it's supposed to kick off at 165, which, you know, since the car's got a 160 thermostat, that should work pretty good. It'll help keep it cool. It better anyway. And of course, I gotta drain the coolant out of it again, so I could change that switch without making a big mess. And I'm gonna try something I seen on, I believe it was TikTok, on how to drain some of the coolant out of here without making a mess. Alright, so one of the things I'm gonna try is I went next door. Again, I live next to a hardware store, so I went next door, I bought 5 foot of some clear hose. It's like $2.19 or something like that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shove this in down in the radiator, and I'll poke the hole in this end of the hose, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick my air hose down in there, my blow gun, and I'm gonna blow air down through it. Hopefully it siphons that out into this jug I got sitting here. I hope this don't make a mess. This should technically work. All that hose goes down in there. And I'm not trying to drain it all out. I just need to get some coolant out of it, so I can put that down in there. Blow gun. Well, that works. That actually works really nice. Gotta make sure my jug don't fill up. We're almost there. So I just sucked a whole gallon out of that thing in about a minute. So that works really good. I said, guys, the switch is working, sorta. It'd come on, but it wouldn't shut off. So take that one out. I already put Teflon tape on this. And again, guys, this thing, when it cruises around, heck, this thing's like a bone stock 5-liter cruising around. Now this car's got it's got a 327 rear gear, so it's fairly tall geared. And when them turbos, I know it's only sitting on like 7 pounds, but if you've seen the previous video, going up that hill, that's a pretty steep hill. This car's doing pretty good pulling up that hill. I know my son liked it. Okay, this is one of the very small issues I had. If that fan switch would have kicked off at, it was supposed to kick off at 175, but it didn't do that. Nowhere close to that. This one is supposed to kick off at 165. If it does that, I think that'll work pretty good. And just like everything else, if you change something, usually you gotta change several other things. This one takes a different end. It doesn't take on the, it doesn't use that kind of end. So I need to put a little loop connector on it, or whatever you want to call it. So once you get this, I got something else I want to try too, and it's something I haven't done before. I was in here just checking things, and one thing that I noticed is that this carburetor doesn't have vent tube extensions for whatever reason. Now it's a CSU carburetor, and I'm not sure if it came that way or not. I'm gonna try it. So the same hardware store, when I picked up the that hose, I also picked up some copper tubing. I'll show you what I mean here in a little bit when I get this on there. And if you haven't seen the blow-through carburetor, a lot of them anymore, you'll see the vent tube extensions that go up into the hat, into this this hat right here. This carburetor has literally nothing in it, so I'm wondering, because it does seem like it waits too long before it richens up the fuel curve. At least that's what I'm seeing on the wide band. Is that, yeah, it fattens it up, but it waits too long for my comfort. I'm not saying it's wrong, because I pulled the plugs out of it. Again, just looking stuff over. Plugs looked okay, and if I remember, I'll put a picture in there. And if I do put the picture in there, mind you that's, heck, I'll probably put 120 or so miles on this thing. So they're not fresh plugs, but they're not real old either. So, and it definitely didn't look lean. All right, I'm gonna heat shrink this. But I was fairly impressed at how well this thing runs. The gasoline in it's still fairly old. I did go to the gas station, put some fresh gas in it, and it definitely ran better after I put gas in it. So, I mean, I could drive it around, or I could just drain it. But I just think I'm just going to drive around, have fun with it. I turned the timing down on it. I'm not going to get on it anymore until that gas is out of here. I'm just going to put some miles on it, because I believe this is a fairly fresh engine. So it probably needs to be broke in anyway. So I'm just going to drive around, run the gas out, and put some fresh gas in it and see. Then we'll see how she does after that. Got the switch all tight. Hopefully that doesn't leak. If it does, I'll have to turn it a little tighter. I'm gonna go ahead and refill it back up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and take the carb hat off there, and I'll show you what I was talking about with the vent extensions. Because I got a piece of copper over here. Hopefully it's the right size, and if it doesn't work, then I guess I'll just take them back off, and the car should run like it did previously, which was still okay. It's just I think it could be slightly better, and hopefully we'll see some results. So lesson learned on that cheap fan switch. At least that particular brand didn't seem to work out. This new one, since it's a brand name, it's a brand a lot of people trust. So I'm hoping that my fan switch issues go away. I mean, for a turbo car, for the fan to run the whole time, I mean, it's drawing all that air through that intercooler, which was probably cooling it down and all that. And it was nice to keep, you know, to watch that gauge stay right at 160, even when I was driving it very spiritedly on a hot day. It was 86 degrees and humid, and the car stayed at 160 all day long. So I can't complain too much about that. So the radiator is up to the task, the fan's up to the task, just the switch wasn't. Now normally I would start this up and test that switch out like like right now, but I want to work on that carburetor, and I don't want the engine to be hot while I do so. So I'm gonna fill this up, then we'll get started on that carburetor. Then I guess we'll test both of them out at the same time. And of course, I'm messing with this. I may have to separate it right here too. You'll see when I get in there, because I want those vent extensions to go at least a pipe here, and we'll see how that goes. And the theory is you kind of want to pressurize your fuel bowls before the rest of it gets pressurized. That way it helps it enriching the fuel quicker. This is how it was explained to me. And it may not work on this car, because CSU is usually pretty good at dialing in their carburetors, and that's exactly what this carburetor is. So they might have intentionally built it without those extensions, or it might just be an old CSU carburetor. I don't know. It definitely looks old, like an older model, but we'll see. This off. Boop. There we go. Alright, I don't want to take off all the other lines either, so what I'm talking about is these little holes here. If you guys look up blow-through carburetors, they have an extension that comes up and then comes into the hat. And that's the part I'm going to try to make today, and hopefully I got the correct line. If not, then I guess let's see if it's the right size. Nope, that looks too big. It's supposed to be 5/16, but it does not look like I can get that down in there. Alright. My 5/16 line seems to be too big. I went ahead and tried a quarter. That's too small, of course. So I got two choices: either try to whittle down the 5/16 to where it's just a little smaller, or swell up the quarter. And I decided to try to sand the 5/16 down and see if we can get it to fit inside that carburetor. So it must be a weird size or something. It's hard to say. But I went ahead and I chucked it up in the drill, got me some sandpaper. We're going to try it. Not saying this is going to work, but better than trying to sand it by hand all the way. So we'll see if this works. If it does, I'll have to do it again to the backside. And yeah, obviously my tube's not completely straight. And that's getting warm. I might need me some gloves or something. Guys, I've been working at this for a little while. I think I finally got it. Take a look. You can actually see it tapered down. Took my time, test fitted it many times, and made sure that it's going to be a tight fit. It'll go in about 1/8 of a quarter of an inch, and then it stops and wedges, which is fine, because when I go to assemble, I'm going to tap it down and wedge it in there. I don't want the thing coming out. I already did that same thing to the other side. I kind of cheated this one. I took it over to the bench grinder and just very lightly put that on that wheel and just kept rotating it as I was doing it. And then when I got close to the size, I came back and started using the sandpaper method. That way was a lot faster. I think this way looks a lot cleaner, but I still think both ways work fairly well. But that way was definitely faster than this way. I did test fit with them. They both fit. Now the next thing I got to do is bend these. I got to bend them the correct way. Went ahead and took off the charge pipe, and I took a piece of coupe brake line and put it in there, just because I got I got more of it than I do the copper tubing. You can see it in there. Yeah, it's not in this, but I kind of want it to sit right there in the middle of that carburetor hat. Hopefully you guys can see that. So I just used a piece of NICOP line to get me the a rough estimate of what the bend needs to look like. I went ahead and got this apart. There we go, you guys can see that NICOP line. Now it's not the same length as what I got, but it'll give me the bend, hopefully, that I need. And then I'll try to copy it with that line, and hopefully I can get it. I'm just test fitting, guys. Because this line obviously fits a little tighter than that NICOP line. I'm just going to be test fitting. There we go. Look up inside. Yeah, that's what I thought. Just a little too tall. You kind of, from what I've been reading and watching, you kind of want it in the middle of your Airstream. So right now she's a little too tall. She's riding it right at the very top of the, so I can add a little bit of more bend on that, and that'll get me about where I was wanting. So you guys get an idea of what I'm trying to go for. And then this other one, of course, I gotta go around the carburetor stud here. And then I want it to meet up here, and then we'll hose clamp it together there in the middle. So far so good. So I'm going to bend that just a little bit more. And this is what it'll hopefully look like when I'm done. And then be a hose clamp right here, clamping them together. Of course, I'm going to tap them down, kind of wedge them in there, and then hopefully I'll be done. I don't know if it's going to clear this hat yet. My luck, probably not. I'll probably have to end up pushing this that direction or something like that. But I'm going to put a hose clamp around that just to see how it fits. I must be getting old. I forgot I had one of these old brake line benders. This thing seems to be working pretty decent. I'm making just a little fine adjustments on this. Works fairly good. It doesn't really fit this 5/16 line, but it still seems to work. I'm just trying to adjust the height back here because I need a little bit of that stud sticking out so that hat will go on. So if I bend it in this area, it'll draw it down a little bit further, so that hat's got a little bit more room. And then I'll bend this back up. I gotta have room for the hat to go on. All right, I think I got them bent roughly into the shape that I want. Hopefully it goes just like that, and then I'll put a clamp on it. I gotta tap these down to get them to seat into the carburetor. Like I said, I'm hoping they wedge in there. I'll be messing with this, guys, and that's about the way I wanted it to look. Plus a hose clamp to kind of keep it together. Yeah, they're not the exact same length or anything, but I might trim that down a little bit. But that's the idea there. Almost, you see, it seems pretty sturdy. Shaking it pretty good. And I might come up with something to tie this one to the stud, just so if something did come loose. One thing you don't want that one going down into the throttle body and hanging up your throttle blades. That might be fun if it did. It'd just be like keeping the throttle, like the throttle sticking to the floor. It's definitely something we don't want. But that's the way it looks. I haven't really tried the hat on. Hopefully I can get that on. You have to kind of feed that up through there with the stud. Except if you don't hold your tongue right there. I do have to move this just a little bit, but we are really close to where I wanted it. So, guys, I'm gonna get you in here. This is what I came up with. I went ahead and put another clamp on here, so it's got two. I cut her off nice and even, and I went ahead and put one of these line holders on, I guess you can call it. I took the rubber off of it because I don't want the rubber anywhere near the carburetor. But if you look at how I have it, I actually have it holding this line down, and it's kind of tweaked a little bit to keep it from moving side to side. So I'm hoping that there's no way for these to blow up out of there, because it would literally have to raise this at least half an inch or so to pull this line up out of there. So that right there is just a little safety precaution. I double nutted it. It's got a nut in the top and bottom. They're nice and tight. This whole thing is fairly solid. I mean, it don't even hardly move. So I think this was the ticket here. Like I said, even if Boost goes to try to blow it up out of there, it would have to bend this here. So I think that's what we're going to try right there. As long as the hat still fits, we'll be in business. I'm sure getting this back on is going to be a little tricky, but I think, yeah, see, I got to turn it sideways, up, over. Looks like it fits. I did something right, so I'll give you guys a shot up inside. You guys see where my pipes are? Yeah, they're not exactly centered. I think I could probably pull them. It depends on where that hat sits. If it sits right here, that's actually right in the middle. So at least it's not riding the top or the bottom. So we'll get the rest of this put back together. So far, so good. And like I was saying before, guys, if this doesn't work or it goes the wrong way or whatever, I'll just take it back off. I mean, it's no big deal. I will take it back off. That's what I like to tell a lot of people is that, you know, they're scared to mess around with their carburetor. It's like, just remember where you set it or where it was sitting, and if it doesn't work, put it back. Plain and simple. So if you make a change on your carburetor, just make notes, take mental notes or whatever. I'm getting older, so I gotta start writing stuff down. And then, like I said, if it runs worse, you know where it started. Put it back. Put it back right where it was. And you'll have exactly the same kind of performance you had before. So what I'm saying is that, like, if you start off with a 70 jet and you think it's too rich and you dropped it down to, I don't know, 66s or whatever, and you think it falls on its face or whatever, runs worse, put your 70s back in it. Or split the difference. Put 68s in it and try it. And again, if it still, you think it runs worse than it did with 70s, put 70s back in it. Same thing with your auto mixture screws. As long as you know where those are at, you could mess with them and you could put it back exactly where you had them before. No reason to be scared of it. Ooh, I almost forgot to put that line on there in the back. Back of the hat there. Oh, I took that off. Alright. I think I got one thing left to do, and that's now, I'll be honest, I've never messed around with those I'm not even sure what you call these. These are quick release. I'm not sure if you guys just see me put that in there. I'm not sure what brand that is. Kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty decent. So right now, that line locked when I push it in there. Push that little collar, and that line slides right back out. Now, if you've seen that before, don't be making fun of me. I haven't seen that. Not on the car, but they do come out with new stuff every day. And look at that. I mean, it's locked in there. I'm guessing you want to make sure that collar's back. So that's what I was doing. I was pulling that collar back and shoving the line in at the same time. And that locked her in. He's got that down here, here. They're everywhere on here. Hey, as long as they don't leak, I give them things a thumbs up. I like those. So, if you guys know what those are called, put them down there in the description or down there in the comment section, because I personally don't know what those are called. That was for a house, it'd be called like a shark plate or something. I don't know. I kind of like it. So the last thing to do is to take this thing up the road and see if it runs better or worse. And like I said, if it runs worse or pig rich, because a lot of guys said that when you do that, you might have to jump down 8 to 10 jet sizes, because it really, I think the theory is, and I'm not positive if I'm wrong, again, leave it down in the comment section, is that boost slowly comes up through here. So if you can just like picture, you know, boost is here, but vacuum here. As it starts coming in, it'll start pressurizing the bowls before it gets to here. So that way you have a pressure differential between the two, and it allows the fuel to start flowing. I think that's how it works. Again, I'm not an expert. I think we're both going to learn something today. And if I don't work, I'm just going to take it back off there, and it'll be just like it was. And like I said, guys, you've seen it in the video, it runs fairly good. But there's always room for improvement. So we'll just go from there. Alright, we're in the car. I have my Hillbilly air conditioning there on the floor. It's a fan, one of those Milwaukee fans. Again, guys, it is hot. It is hot. I think it's 88 degrees and climbing. Right now she's bone cold, so. not even up to 120 and came up that hill just fine. According to the gauge, it does look like it got a little richer, just even cruising. Riching it up, so keep that cruise. Might be a little bit too rich at cruise. On the fan to kick on. She should be coming on any minute now, and hopefully she kicks back off when she does. Seems to be idling a little faster. Oh, there it is, just heard it. Fan just kicked on. Oh, I hear, guessing a little bit of the alternator squeaking or something. I'm sure you guys can hear it there in the video. Now, like I said before, the fan would not kick off. Would not kick off until, looks like it waited to almost, about 185 is when it's supposed to come on. We'll see if it shuts off here. So it's kind of weird that it's seems like it's idled up a few hundred RPMs after doing that. It does sound smooth though. It smells different. Shouldn't take it too long. Although it is almost 90 out here, so. It's taking a little longer to cool down. She's coming down now. I'll check back in when it gets to 165 where it's supposed to shut off. Yeah, guys, update. It only took a couple minutes and then the fan shut off. I didn't actually hear it shut off. It actually cycled on me, come back on. That's when I noticed that, hey, it shut off. So it's shutting off about 175, to be honest, at least according to that gauge anyway. So it looks like it kicks on about 185 and kicks off at 175. It's supposed to be 165, but you never know if my gauge is right or not. So I think that's going to work just fine. That'll save that alternator from having to work so hard all the time. I think I'm just going to go down this road and turn around. She seems to... She's definitely fattened up. So it might actually need the jets taken out of it to actually fine tune this thing. This is fine. I'd rather be a little rich than a little lean. Seems like the boost comes in a lot faster too. Especially in low gear. Turbo spin up right now. Here, notice there's always a lot of traffic through here. You're out testing shit. Dangerous. Put new guardrails in, you can't see. Pull out. Yeah, that's only half throttle. Seen 10s on the air fuel ratio, so she definitely fattened up, and I think the car likes it. So we'll see. I'll have to drive it, maybe get it up on the dyno before we actually fine tune it. She seems to like it. What I mean by it is it's nice and smooth. Even under part throttle, it's pulling hard. Like right now, I mean, she's just silky smooth. So I think it definitely improved that carburetor a little bit. Probably not going to help it too much on fuel mileage, but yeah, let's face it, this thing ain't built for fuel mileage. Even in fifth gear, fifth gear lugging it, and them turbos just want to come on. Right now the temperature gauge says we're about 175, so like I said, it's about 90 degrees today and humid. There. That's twice this car's done that. I think I'm getting dirt in the fuel system or something. Now she'll be fine. Well, I think that's going to be it for this video, guys. Other than I might take that carburetor apart, clean it, because I think I'm getting some junk through the needle and seats every once in a while, because you just heard it. But right now she's purring like a kitten. The fan's cycling. Life's good. All right, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.